In Israel, I had a Hyundai and like Samsung television.
We know that if you want
refrigerator.
like a good television or refrigerator, you go to Samsung, you go to Hyundai. What isn't made here? 안녕하세요. 전 이스라엘에서 온 미아예요. 군대에서 컴퓨터 유닛에서 있었어요.
안녕하세요. 저는 러니티예요.
오늘은 한국이 작지만 강한 나라에 이야기해볼게요. Koreans say a lot of the times that it's a small country, especially when you compare like to the US or Europe, but it's still a strong and successful country. Why do you think that is?
So I think the first thing, because we're Israelis, so our country is really small. It's really smaller than Korea even. So for
Kind of
us,
smaller than Seoul,
yes, and like the population is like
less than in Seoul.
8 million. So for us, Korea always feels big. So we never think, oh, Korea is such a small country but so successful. We think Korea is a big country and still successful.
Yeah.
But I think Korea is very well known for like developing so quickly.
That's
and
true.
like from being a very poor country in the 60s or after the war and like working so hard and like becoming so successful. It's really impressive and there are a lot of reasons, I think. So when you think about Korea, you think about a very advanced country. And it's really surprising that you see like the economy after the war. North Korea and South Korea were very poor, but North Korea was a little better off for maybe the first 20 years.
Oh,
and that's
I didn't
really
know that.
yeah. It was really surprising to learn that North Korea was more successful at first. Like it was because of the Soviet Union supporting North Korea. They were better off than South Korea.
I
For a
didn't
while.
know that.
Yeah, it's really surprising. And then like it completely switched and like North Korea just and South Korea just came all the way
Rocketed
up.
all.
Yeah, to one of the top 10 economies in the world
I
today.
think even more than that. I think fourth or fifth.
That's impressive, especially like for a small country. And also like a lot of the successful countries are countries that got help after the Second World War, but Korea was so poor and like it just came up by working really hard. It's a really impressive success story.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
that's lower than I thought. Because for me,
For us, it's so big.
like Israel is like
Yeah.
this tiny.
Israel is like a dot on the map, and
And-
Korea is a small.
Yeah,
circle.
so we compare it like this.
But then you have like U.S., China, Russia, which
Canada
are like
is like.
continents.
But for us, as a person that comes here, it's like, oh my God, you drive 1 hour in the Chiachol and you're still in Seoul. In 1 hour, you can go so many cities in Israel.
Seoul is very, very dense. But then like I feel like everyone in Korea just lives in Seoul.
Yes.
Like the rest of the cities are just empty.
For me, it's also part of the reason I came here. Because for me, Israel is like the Shigol for Korea's Poshi. And like in a bigger place, there are usually more opportunities. Ah, I did not know that. That is a lot. Like this is very high. And I have never heard about that.
You always hear that Korea has the fastest internet. Yeah, the new smartphones are coming from here.
And for us also the cars. I
Right,
think
cars.
Hyundai and Kia are the most sold
Cars in
Cars
Israel.
in Israel.
Yeah, in Israel I had a Hyundai and like Samsung television.
We know that if you want
refrigerator.
like a good television or refrigerator, you go to Samsung, you go to Hyundai. But we never knew that Hyundai has like malls and those kind of
Or
stuff.
Samsung, they have so much more than just televisions. Oh, right.
Oh. See, Navy.
I actually knew that because
University.
I don't know.
She
I
just
don't
knew.
remember.
She's smart. I've never heard about this before, but for me it makes sense because Korea is technically half an island. In real life, it's an island with a lot of shores. So I feel like if there is any country who will be good with making any sort of equipment for the sea, it would be here because it's all we have here. And also Korea is known for making technologies. So I feel like if there is a field that should be the strongest, there you go. This is, I know that people here love shopping. We walk outside and you see everyone has a Gucci bag, a YSL, Chanel necklace. So now it makes more sense.
So yeah, I knew about the GDP, and Korea keeps like getting better and better every year. Like a few years ago, I think they were 16th, I remember.
Oh.
Like they keep improving. It's getting better. Korea used to be so poor, so the GDP was, I think, one of the lowest in the world. Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world, and like just in 50 years, it's such a rapid growth, like such an extreme change. It's interesting in Korea because the older people still remember what it is to be poor, but the younger people are just living in a very rich country.
Born into wealth.
Yeah, so it's very different, like old people and younger people.
I feel like you can compare it with the grandparents for us that came from the Holocaust, and like they don't allow you to leave food on the plate, you have to eat it. And for us who grew up with food, it's not as really. I feel like it's kind of same here because I have seen a lot of like harmonies that like, you have to finish your food. Or like, are you hungry? You look thin, eat.
So I wasn't too surprised that Korea military power is number 6 in the world, because I expected them to have a really good army with all the technology and all the investment in the army, and like everyone has to go, all the men.
Yeah, I think that for Israel, people who have more of the army subject in the daily life, for us it won't be as a surprise because we hear about Korea's army in Israel. So we are more aware of it.
I think recently it changed though, because we used to hear only about North Korea, but now we hear about 오징어게, K-pop, BTS,
skincare. I have.
or skincare.
That is actually a problem because friends and family members, before I come to Israel all the time, they're like, okay, can you buy me this? Will you give me another suitcase?
Right. They keep asking for gifts for
Yes.
like the masks,
Yes.
creams.
In Israel first.
Oh,
It's
no.
the most sold cars are Korean cars in Israel. A lot of Hyundai and Kia, but people say it differently.
Yeah, right. We say Hyundai and
And
Kaya.
Kaya.
Kaya. We don't know how to read it. My Hyundai back home is Hyundai i10, and I keep looking for this car here, and I never saw
No,
it. It
never.
doesn't exist here. I think we have different types of cars.
Yes,
than
like
here.
here there's the Grandeur. Like my father has a Genesis. I didn't know that Kia was Hyundai. Like when it first arrived,
I think I had to Google it to check. Oh,
we hear about that. a lot.
We know that Korea has the best internet. I think the thing that scares me the most about going home is having poor internet connection. How can you live without this fast internet? It's so
Honestly.
comfortable.
Yeah.
So yes, in Israel, everyone has either Samsung or iPhone, I think.
Yes.
I have a Samsung.
I think the entire world these days, either iPhone or Samsung. I have Samsung for most of my life.
Same. Probably I'll stay with Galaxy forever. We in Israel, we also have very advanced technology, but we don't develop
Things like this.
like the final products. We develop like chips or like the smaller technologies that are used in Samsung, for example.
With
Produce a
the-
lot of technology, but we never
It goes
have
inside.
the we never have the final product. And in Korea, there's like cars and everything, like phones and
Air conditioners, ovens, refrigerators.
like they have.
We don't have any of these actually.
Actually, we have nothing. We used to have an Israeli car in the 70s, but it's
What car?
Susita. It's
That's
a jo-
Israeli?
It's a joke today. Like if we say like if we're talking about a very very bad car, we call it Susita, like the Israeli
I didn't
brand.
even know it's Israeli.
Korea and Israel can work together a lot because Israel can help with technology and Korea can help with the bigger products, and countries should work together.
In general, it seems like Korea is very advanced in creating products. Thinking about it, like the refrigerators and the air conditioners and the washing machines and the cars and the phones and the computers. Like, what isn't made here? 오늘은 한국이 작지만 강한 나라의 이유에 대해서 이야기했어요. 영상을 좋아했으면 구독하고 라이크하고 댓글도 넣어주세요. 안녕.